Okay, take number 4 of how to table in LaTeX. This tutorial is aimed at beginners in creating tables in LaTeX. I've got a most basic LaTeX document set up. So document class article. We often use article in academic work. Begin document, hello world, end document. And what that looks like is a single PDF page, page number 1, and it says hello world. So this is the base that we're starting off from. Okay, so I'm going to delete the hello world, and then I will create the sort of most basic form of a table here. So we say begin tabular, and then I'm going to put a couple of commands in here, and I'll explain them now. And I've done this before, so you can see my GitHub Copilot predicting what I want to do. So basically what I've gone and said is I want 3 columns. The first column must be left aligned, the second column must be center aligned, and the third column must be right aligned. And I want a right border, a border between these 2 columns, another border between these 2 columns, and then a border all the way on the left hand side. Then to create the table, I can just accept this prediction from GitHub Copilot. So we draw a horizontal line. We then draw, or then we write number 1, number 2, number 3, and then these double lines mean go to the next row, and in the next row we write 4, 5, and 6. Now these ampersands are your sort of column breaks in each row. So the first column, the first row is 1, then this ampersand says move to the next column, so the second column in the first row is 2, and so on. Let me just add a heading here. So I'll do hline, and then I'll say heading 1 ampersand, heading 2, heading 3, and then let me build this, and let's take a look at I made an error. Okay, so the error is I didn't say end tabular. Okay, so let me just build that again, and there we go. We've got our table with heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, and as you can see, as expected, we've got left aligned, center aligned, and right aligned in each of those columns. And then we've got the vertical borders or vertical lines and the horizontal lines as defined. Okay, now to make this look a little bit better, more sort of academic document-esque, if you will, I recommend using the book tabs package. So the book tabs package is a package that allows you to create publication quality tables in LaTeX. And I recommend you read chapters 1 and 2. Now, don't worry, it's only 3 pages. It will take 10 minutes at the most. But they've got some good examples here, and they've got some rules for us. Now, this is one I want to focus on. Rule number 1, never ever use vertical lines, and rule number 2, never use double lines. And as they say here, you will not go far wrong if you remember these 2 simple guidelines. So, I mean, it's not the most in the world. There are 3 more down here, which I also think you should follow. But again, if you follow these first 2, it's going to get you a long way. Now, that's not all that their package does, is they don't just give you rules. They've also got some commands that make your table look a lot better. So if we take this example that they've got here, similar to ours, where they've got all of the lines, and they've also got some double lines here, versus this a version of the same table, just looks a lot better. They followed all those rules, and if you look closely, you can see a thicker top rule, a thicker bottom rule, and a sort of medium thickness middle rule here, which nicely tells us, oh, okay, this is the bottom of the table, this is the top of the table, and the headings go over here. So we'll use these commands from their package to allow our table to look as good as this one, and then also just use those rules outlined below. Okay, so first thing to do in order to use the book tabs package is to use that package in our LaTeX documents. So between the the document class and the begin document, the space is called a preamble. We say use package book tabs, and that basically just loads in all that information to be able to use book tabs. So when we use these commands, LaTeX actually knows what we mean. And then we say top rule, quite easy to remember. And then after the heading, we say mid rule. So this used to be hline, hline, hline. And then here at the bottom, you guessed it, bottom rule. Okay, So let me just build that off the bat, and let's see what that does. Okay, I've still got vertical lines, which makes it look pretty trash. So let me go and remove these vertical lines here. By the way, the spacing between these doesn't matter. They can be like this, or we can have spaces. Okay, build that, and there we go. We've got a table that we know what column is what, and we know what are the headings and what's not, and it's just so much cleaner, looks so much better. And as you can see, we've got those thicker and thinner lines. Yeah, very easy on the eyes. Okay, but we're still not there. We basically got a table floating in the middle of the page somewhere, just chilling. Now we want to firstly tell it where to go, and secondly give it a caption. Tables need captions. So let's start with the caption part. In order to do that, we need to wrap this in a begin table environment. So begin table, and then at the bottom we can say end table. Let's take that prediction. I'm just going to add some indentation here for clarity. And then within this table, we can now do things like we want to center it, and we want to give it a caption. So we'll call this caption an example table that looks good. And you can put the period there or not. I prefer to not use periods after my captions. And then we give it a label. What this label is will become clear just now. I'll call it tab colon example table. Let me just open that up so you can see there. Okay, if I build this, you can see, okay, the positioning has changed. It's center aligned, so there's the same amount of space on the left hand side as on the right hand side. And then we've got our table caption, an example table that looks good. All right, let me add some text around this table, specifically a text above the table. This is a line of text, above the table. The table we are referring to is table that. I just wanted to make that a long enough line so that it goes over a single line. I don't want to add this indent to that paragraph. Below the table, this is also a long line of text to ensure that we go over a single line. Let's hope that works. Line. Okay, let's quickly take a look at what this does. There we go. Okay, so first thing to note, the first line doesn't go over the line, that's okay. But the first thing to note is that we've got this line and this line next to each other, whereas these two lines were actually above and below this table. So what's going on? What LaTeX does is, in the background, it's got a set of rules that it tries to typeset your document to look as good as possible. So to have as little white space as possible. Now, don't quote me on these rules. I don't know exactly what they are, but basically the rules make the document look professional, and you can probably go find those rules somewhere, whatever LaTeX following. But we do have power over that. So for example, let's say we want to force the table to be between this line and this line. What we can do is we can, here at begin table, we can say square bracket h. Now square bracket h is the float specifier for the table, which says this table must go here. And here means where it is in the .text file. So if you look on the right hand side, this howtotable.txt is this file that we're working with, and basically it means that here is below this line and above this line. Okay, so let's build that and see if that does what we want. Yes. So went and said this is the line of text above the table, and then text below the table. Does exactly what we expect. There are some other options that you can put in here as well. We can say, for example, B for bottom. I'll show you what that looks like. So we've got our two lines of text, and then at the bottom of the same page, it goes and puts that table right at the bottom. There are other options, top, no guessing what that does, and then you can also specify an order. So let's say HTB. So that means we want it here. If that doesn't work, put it at the top. If that doesn't work, put it at the bottom. For our use case now, I'll just keep it at here. Okay, there we go. Now one last thing that I want to show you is, I really want this to be a long line of text, and then I'm going to remove this tilde over here, and hopefully it does what I would like it to do. No. Okay, let's see if this works. Sorry, basically I want this table and one to be put on different lines, and if that happens, the solution to that, let me just see if I can't get that to work. No, still not. Anyway, the solution is if it says table and then on the next line below that it then goes and puts the one, what you need to do is add a tilde here. So tilde means that this item, it can be another word, but in this case the one from the table that we're referring to must be put next to this table. So these two must be treated as a unit in LaTeX. So that means that it can't say table up here and one down here. It'll always be table one at the bottom, or if they can fit at the top, it'll put table one at the top. And that's what this label does. This label says, okay, this figure has this label. So when we refer to that, sorry, I said this figure, I mean this table. When we refer to this table, the number that it goes and chooses is dependent on what number this table is in the document. And we need to follow this format, tab, colon, and then a name separated by underscore.